the notch area in full screen mode. But that's not possible on the Nokia 6.1 Plus. None of the apps can access the notch area in full screen mode, including apps such as the photo gallery. However, they can work in non-full screen mode. This causes a jarring transition every time an image goes in and out of full screen mode. The notch also isn't fully considered. While designing the UI, you can see the volume bar slider buttons partially go underneath the notch area. Nokia also didn't bother adding rounded corners for the top edges of the screen when the notch isn't being used, and it just looks cut off. The problem here is that stock Android Oreo wasn't designed with notches in mind, and Nokia either didn't or just couldn't do much to fix that. It's also weird how the phone deals with making apps full screen too. Fill its entire 19:9 aspect ratio display. Again, stock Android Oreo has no option for this built-in. Other manufacturers provide an option in the Settings app to control this on a per-app basis. On the Nokia 6.1 Plus, you have to open the app, but if it's not designed to fill the entire screen, you won't see any option immediately. To fix that, as on other devices, you have to first go into multitasking or the overview mode and then wait for a button to appear on that particular app window. When you tap that button, the app then reopens and fills the entire screen. Looking at the specs, one can tell the Nokia 6.1 Plus is a decidedly mid-range offering, however, one with reasonably good specs that should make some sit up and take notice. The Snapdragon 636 chipset, for example, is reasonably powerful, and 4GB LPDDR4X memory sounds generous. Then there's the glass and aluminum design and a dual rear camera system. Nokia is also sticking with Android One for this device, which means you can expect a stock Android experience with relatively quick updates. On paper, there is a lot to like here. Let's see what's it like in practice. Unboxing the Nokia 6.1 Plus. The Nokia 6.1 Plus comes with relatively simple packaging, with just the phone, 10 watts charger and a USB-C data cable being bundled. A simple silicone case would have been nice, but you'll have to get that separately, along with a pair of earphones. The charger also does not support fast charging, even though the phone does. Disclaimer: you might notice that this review is shorter than usual and doesn't include some of our proprietary tests. The reason is it has been prepared and written far away from our office and test lab. Still, we think we've captured the essence of the phone in the same precise, informative and detailed way that's become our trademark. Enjoy the good read. Like the front, the back of the phone is also made out of Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The camera system, with the dual lenses and dual LED flash, is ever so slightly raised. And below that is the fingerprint sensor. Below that there is yet another Nokia logo and then the Android One branding at the bottom. There are two problems here. The glass back is slippery, so when you keep the phone on a hard surface, there is a slight tendency for the phone to slide around. Second, the fingerprint sensor position is way too low for a phone of this size. With average-sized hands, your finger naturally rests where the flash is, and you have to do a little shift every time to reach the sensor that sits lower. You get used to it over time, but it's never where your finger naturally goes. So it's always a bit awkward. Another issue with the display is that it doesn't get very bright, which is a problem outdoors as you are forced to run it at full brightness. And even then, it's not particularly easy to see under sunlight. Battery life. The Nokia 6.1 Plus has a 3060 mAh battery, which seems pretty small by today's standards, but the phone also doesn't have an especially large display nor a particularly powerful chipset to power, so things don't get as bad as you might think. With moderate use, it is possible to get through a day on a single charge, with only the heaviest of use cases resulting in you reaching for the charger before the day is over. Fortunately, the phone also features quick charge, which helps in charging the phone from flat to a full charge in about 2 hours. Unfortunately, the phone does not ship with a quick charge compatible charger, and you would have to buy your own. In the battery settings, Nokia has implemented a background activity manager feature, which is off by default but can be enabled to more strictly restrict the background activity of apps. This can be done individually or for all apps at once. The downside is that it may result in some apps not getting any notifications. Nokia did leave out a battery percentage option for the status bar, so the only way to see the remaining charge is by pulling down the notification shade. We suspect Nokia was worried it would take too much of the status bar space with the notch, but we felt there was enough space left there even with all icons for a percentage counter. Loudspeaker. The Nokia 6.1 Plus has a single down-firing loudspeaker, which Nokia says uses a smart app. The audio quality is mediocre. The speaker gets reasonably loud but sounds a bit tinny with very little bass. It's good enough, though, for watching the occasional YouTube video. However, you will have to get used to the sound coming out from one side. The phone comes with largely the standard set of Google apps. With a handful of apps, there are a few third-party apps installed, but they can be uninstalled. The list of Nokia apps includes a custom camera app, an FM radio app, and a support app that contains info regarding nearby service centers, support chat, user guide, FAQs and warranty information. Inside the Settings app, things look pretty much stock, except for the addition of a gestures menu, which includes options such as rejecting calls by turning over the phone, mute on pickup, swipe fingerprint, sensor for notifications, double tap, power button to open the camera, and lift to wake the phone. Also, in the battery menu, is the aforementioned background activity manager that lets you prevent all or individual apps from running in the background. Performance. The Nokia 6.1 Plus runs on the Qualcomm Snapdragon 636 platform. A reasonably powerful chipset that is popular in this price category. The 636 includes an octa-core CPU with a combination of quad cryo 260 gold cores based on Cortex-A73 and quad cryo 260 silver cores based on Cortex-A53. There's also the Adreno 509 GPU, good for FHD plus resolutions. The phone also comes with 4 GB of LPDDR4X memory and 64 GB of EMG 5.1 storage, which can be expanded up to 400 GB with microSD. In benchmarks, the phone performed on par with previous Snapdragon 636 devices, which is to say, it performed reasonably well. However, benchmarks only tell part of the story. In the real world, the performance is respectable for a phone in this price range, but it does seem like Nokia could have done better. The 636 is powerful enough to run everyday applications with ease. The phone can launch them quickly enough, and the 4 GB RAM is also sufficient for multitasking. The performance, in general, is satisfactory. However, there is the occasional hitching while scrolling in some apps. It's nothing uncharacteristic of devices in this class, however. And the overall performance in apps is exactly what we'd expect it to be. In games, the performance again was, as expected, expectedly underwhelming. That is, this is not the class of devices you buy if absolute image quality and frame rates are what you're after. You can, of course, install and run something like PUBG or Asphalt 9, but only at the lowest setting. But if image quality isn't your concern and you just want a playable experience, then that's perfectly possible on the Nokia 6.1 Plus. Competition. The Nokia 6.1 Plus lands in a very competitive market, and there is no shortage of alternatives available. The closest rivals are the two Xiaomi twins, the Mi A2 and the Mi A2 Lite, both of which are also Android One devices. The Nokia bests the A2 Lite by having a better chipset and better camera. But the A2 Lite has a larger battery. Meanwhile, the A2 has an even more powerful chipset, a better camera but a smaller battery for a higher price. This puts the Nokia 6.1 Plus somewhere between the two both regarding price and performance. Then there is also the popular Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 Pro, which packs the same chipset but a larger battery. While Android purists might not be impressed, most people seem to prefer the expanded feature set on custom Android drums such as MIUI, so that might be a consideration for some. Also, worth mentioning is the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1, a phone that has the same chipset as the Nokia 6.1 Plus and a similar feature set, including a close to stock but not quite Android One experience. What it does add is a humongous 5000 mAh battery, which can easily last 2 days for most people. There is no clear winner here, and every phone seems to have some advantage going for it, making it a strictly personal decision as to which phone to go for. Conclusion. The Nokia 6.1 Plus lands in a market That cannot possibly be bursting. More at the seams with good options. But manages to make a place for itself. Is it perfect? No, not quite. The build quality somehow does not feel as premium or substantial as some of the other devices. The display is very poorly calibrated, with a cool blue tint and oversaturated colors from 2012. The stock Android experience is a bit of a hit or miss, with some lack of optimization and missing features. And the battery life, although not bad, isn't as impressive as some of the other phones in this segment.
Follow us. Google search. www.googlesearch.co.in. Facebook/blogtube page/ www.facebook.com web link. Twitter.com/blogtubebbed. Twitter.com web link. If you like this video, click like icon and share your friends.
If you want more best videos, please subscribe and click bell icon.